Hello, Algebra 1 students. This is the day one video. It's all about the order of operations. This is something I expect you to have mastered, but it's very likely that many of you don't. You have misconceptions of it. You've made up your own rules over the time. You heard the teacher say one thing and maybe they didn't explain it well enough, or maybe you made an assumption, maybe you started daydreaming during the explanation, and so you might have a gap in your learning. And this stuff is crucial to what we're going to do here in algebra. We're in high school level mathematics, so we have to make sure we have a solid understanding of this or it will hinder us. Okay, so first of all, we will always call them the order of operations. We will never, ever, ever, never, ever use this P word. No, we will not use that word. First of all, that word is not officially known by people in other parts of the country. It's kind of a regional thing that some teachers made up. We won't use cute little acronyms like please excuse my dear Aunt Sally or anything else like that. Why? Because it's not a reason, it's a trick. And while tricks can be cool, they don't really explain things to people. And two, that word often leads students to misunderstand. So I remember some teachers asking me, well, if you don't say that word, how do you say it? Well, here's how I say it. First, we have parentheses. We always do inside the parentheses first. Yep. And then we do exponents. Notice that exponent up there is in a different color. There's our exponents. And then this star means multiply. We don't use an X anymore for multiplication. And, excuse me, I do use a division symbol here, but you won't see me using a division symbol much in algebra. You'll see it start to go away in favor of a fraction bar, okay? So now this is where it gets tricky for a lot of students. Here, let me just cover up that naughty word there. There we go. All right. Multiplication or division. Notice the or is capital and in blue. Or is a very important word. You don't always do multiplication first. You do multiplication or division. And how do you know which one to do? You go left to right. Okay, so you do your parentheses first, your exponents second, multiplication or division. So you do the multiplication if it comes first in the expression, or you do the division first if it comes first in the expression. Take care of all that. Then you move down to the addition or the subtraction. And again, you must decide which one is on the most left, and that's what you do. Okay, so we're not going to use that ugly P word. So we're going to get to the first part of the video here. If you missed any of the problems from numbers 1 to 3, you must take notes on this section of the video. I'm going to go over I believe, 4 problems. Pardon me a second. Sorry, got a little summer cold here that I'm fighting off. All right, hopefully that didn't blow your ears out. All right, now if you didn't get anything from 1 through 3 wrong, you may skip this part of the video. But remember, I recorded your scores, so I'm also going to be checking to see if you have notes on the video, okay? So don't try to pull a quick way around it. All right, so first of all, if you didn't miss anything from 1 to 3, you can go to the next part of the video. All right, so problem A. Well, I don't see any parentheses in the problem. I don't see any exponents. There actually are 3 exponents. They're invisible. They're all ones, 1, a 1, and a 1. But anything to the first power is itself, so that's not an issue. All right, so now I come to multiplication or division. I notice that the division is before the multiplication. So that means I am going to do 16 divided by 2, and that of course will equal 8. And then I'm going to do the multiplication times 5, and that's going to equal 40. You see how I do that? Because the division is first, I do the division part of the problem first. I ignore the times 5. Okay? If you did the multiplication first, you would not get the same answer as I did. How do you know which is right? Because I correctly used the order of operations. All right? Tell you what, I want you to pause the video and I want you to do problem number B. If you can do it in your head, awesome. If you can't, that's okay. Go ahead and use some paper. Okay, here comes my solution. So I'm going to add first. Why? Because, well, there's no parentheses, there's no exponents, there's no multiplication, and I'm on addition or subtraction. Sorry, that's that cough I'm fighting off. and the addition comes first. So I'm going to do 20 plus 5, which is 25, minus 7, which is 18. Okay? All right, now I come down to C. Again, let's do it again. You pause the video and see if you get the answer that I get. Unpause it when you're ready. Okay, here comes my solution. I see multiplication, I see division. I see multiplication coming first. 6 times 4 is 24. 24 divided by 12 is 2. So the answer is 2. All right, and D, again, I want you to try it on your own. So go ahead and pause it, unpause when you're ready. Okay, here comes my solution, 8 minus 15. You know, a lot of you have trouble with these kind of problems. Do you know what 5 minus 3 is? Of course you do. Well then, 3 minus 5 is just the negative of that answer. That's all it is. So if you have trouble with this, I want you to think about it as 15 minus 8. All right? There's 15 positives. There's 8 negatives. Well, there's going to be 7 positives left over, so the answer is positive 7. But in this blue problem, you have 8 positives and 15 negatives. They're going to cancel out with each other, right? What's going to be left? Well, 7. But 7 what? 7 negatives. How do you know? Because, excuse me, there are 15 of the negatives and only 8 of the positives. So now I have negative 7 plus 3. And again, I'm going to use the same logic. I've got 7 negatives. I've got 3 positives. There must be 4 negatives left. It's really simple stuff. Okay, if you need some more assistance with that, you can come see me. You can call me over in class. All right, let's get to the next part of the video. All right, so this part is for people who missed any of the problems from numbers 4 to 6. You must take notes on this portion of the video. Okay, so here I'm using the order of operations, and I see subtraction, I see subtraction, I see some parentheses, and I see an exponent. Well, order of operations tells me to do parentheses first. So I'm going to go inside here, and I'm going to get 5 minus 9. There's 5 positives, 9 negatives. There must be 4 negatives left. And now I'm going to put that exponent there. So now I have to do the exponent part. So I'm going to have 10 minus negative 4 squared. That means negative 4 times negative 4. Well, that would be a positive 16, wouldn't it? That's not that negative. This negative turned into a positive 16. Excuse me. And now I have 10 minus 16. 10 positives, 16 negatives. There's 6 left over, 6 negatives. My answer is negative 6. All right, let's check out F. I'd like you to pause the video and then see if you get the answer that I get. Okay, so here it comes. So I'm going to do inside the parentheses first. So I'm going to have 8 minus, right there I didn't do anything, and 9 minus 12 is going to be negative 3. And that's raised to the 3rd power. So now I'm going to do the exponent portion of the problem. So I'm still going to have the 8 minus, and I have negative 3 to the 3rd. Well, 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 3 is 27. Okay, so 3 to the 3rd is 27. 3 raised to the 3rd power is 27. But what's negative 3 to the 3rd power? Well, negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. Times negative 3 is negative 27. So I have 8 minus negative 27. And this is a strange situation for many of you. You don't know what to do. Well, 8 minus a negative 27. I'm taking away a negative. When you take away a negative, that's the same as adding a positive. I'd like to think about it a different way. Let's say you have a bad habit. That's a negative thing. If I could wave a magic wand and take away your negative thing, your bad habit, wouldn't that be a positive? Okay, so when you have minus a negative, it actually is the same as adding a positive. So I have 8 plus 27, and that is 35. Excuse me, and there we go. Okay, so moving on to the next part of the video. If you missed problem number 7, and many of you missed this, I'm sure, You must take notes on this section of the video. Okay, here I have a -1 with an exponent of 2, and here I have a quantity of -1 exponent of 2. Real question is, are they the same thing? Are they equal to each other? Many of you just go, yeah, of course they are, because you don't know how to read what you're looking at. You think they both say to square -1. They don't. The first one, well, let's start with the second one. The second one, right here, this one, properly read, is the square. I should put the square of -1. So this one means -1 times -1, which is +1. Okay, that one means that. This one doesn't mean that at all. Properly read, this one is the negative. A negative. Oops. Sorry about that. Negative of 1 squared. Not the same thing at all. So I have to square 1 and then make it negative. 1 squared is 1, right? And the negative of that is -1. Oops, not -7, Mr. Lawrence. Oh my goodness, you're screwing these kids up on the first day of school. All right. Ooh, having a little trouble here. Okay, the negative of 1 squared. So you see, they are not equal to each other. Yeah, some of you aren't going to believe me. Test it on a calculator. Put a -1 squared and then put the quantity of -1 squared. You'll get a +1 for the latter and a -1 for the previous. And it's all because you're misreading it. So many people like to say, same thing, or they don't like to admit they're wrong, so they stop listening. If you do that, you will continue to get this wrong, and I promise you will see this all year long until you're all getting it right all the time because it's too simple of a concept. All right, now, if you missed problem number 8, you must take notes on this section of the video, and this is the last section. There is a rule in mathematics. You may never divide by 0. Never. There's no definition in mathematics for it. You can't do it. I can't do it. Einstein couldn't do it. And if some of you go, oh yeah, I can, don't you tell me I can't do it. No, you're misunderstanding. See, everything in math happens for a reason. There has to be a definition or a theorem to allow you to do what it is you want to do, even adding. So there has to be a definition for division. The problem is there is no definition for the division by 0. It just doesn't make sense to us. Okay, so this we say is undefined. Undefined is a great way to answer 1 divided by 0. Remember earlier in the video I said I'm not going to be using the division symbol much. I'm going to be using a fraction bar. This fraction is 5 divided by 0, which means it's undefined. You cannot divide by 0. You're not allowed to. There's no way to do it. Okay, if you want more explanation on that, come see me. All right, on this problem here, I'm going to use the order of operations to simplify my denominator. I'm going to do the multiplication first. So the denominator is going to turn into 6 minus 2 times 3, which is 6. And therefore, I have 12 divided by 0. This is undefined as well. They are all undefined. Now, you should have written down, you may never divide by 0. You should highlight that. You should memorize it. You should say it to yourself when you're going to the bathroom. You should say it to yourself when you're walking home from school. You should tell your parents you can never, ever divide by 0. So many people will say ridiculous things. I'll say, what's 10 divided by 0? And they'll go, 10. Well, wait, isn't 10 divided by 1 10? Then how can 10 divided by a different amount be 10? Then they'll go, 1. Well, wait a minute. 10 divided by 10 is 1. So don't guess. Think about it. There's no definition for the division of 0, or by 0, excuse me. All right, that's it for the video. Mr. Lawrence signing off. Have a good night, everybody.